Welcome to Talk to Connect, the podcast where we explore how to have transformative engagement to create stronger personal and professional relationships. I created this podcast because connection with others has become more difficult in this time of heavy social media, differing viewpoints, and increased anxiety in the world. I'm your host, Michelle Franklin, so let's talk to connect. Today's episode is going to be particularly insightful for parents to children of all ages, and for those who want to be parents in the future, as I will be interviewing and having a discussion with my 15-year-old son, Will. And I have referenced him before in previous episodes. This will be a two-part conversation where we'll pull back the curtain on the thoughts, feelings, and fears of today's teens and young adults on what parents need to know. In episode 2, Supermom Syndrome, I suggested for parents to actively engage their kids in uncomfortable conversations. In my podcast, I'm not giving suggestions that I wouldn't or haven't actually done, as I find talking from experience rather than theory is much more valuable. So this is part 1 of an interview of a teen. And I have a list of questions for my son, but it won't be just a Q&A. It'll be a natural conversation with follow-up questions probably from both of us. Now, the questions that I will ask him, I have not shared with him, and he will hear them for the first time during this episode. So he can provide real-time, in the moment, honest responses. I'll also share that I told him to be honest with his responses, even if it's sharing something he hasn't yet told me that might be difficult, hard, or uncomfortable for one or both of us. And he agreed, because the whole reason I started this podcast was to support others, as I'm still learning myself and how to connect with others. And I can't authentically talk on that subject if I'm not willing to do it. So I'm also a little bit nervous, not going to lie. And even though I'm nervous, and I know Will is too, whatever comes up will also help other parents. So it's all good. So during our conversation, I do suggest that you take notes on questions you may want to ask your kids, even if they're grown. Because, like I said in the last episode, it's never too late to explore ways to build connection with your kids. So here we go, part 1. Okay, Will, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First question. What would you say that other kids would say can make a good relationship with their parents?
I think kids want their parents to be like involved with their life. So, just asking them what's going on with school, asking them about, their social life, their friends, relationships, but don't be too like on them and into like, all their relationships, because I feel like that's just gonna have them feel like you're being a little like, a little nosy, and have them start saying less. So I just feel like, just every now and then checking in, how are things going? Just make sure, you're showing them affection. And I probably just simple things like simple acts of affection to just show your kid, you care about them. Um, obviously don't spoil them, but whatever.
So then let me ask you this. So, it's interesting as a parent, right, to hear you say, well, ask us about our day, but don't ask us too much, right? And I know
Yeah.
a lot of parents are like, what now? So can you kind of speak on, like, I know we talk, right?
Mhm.
And I'm curious, and to me, it seems like you share with me more than I think a lot of kids share with their parents. That's just my perception, having talked to friends and hearing what's not happening in their relationship with their kids. So why do you think what makes us have a relationship where you do actually talk to me when I ask you things?
I feel like it's just like how you establish a relationship like early on in, your kid's childhood. Um, and I feel like it's just what you make regular. Regular is how like, your child will like approach you. So like me growing up, you always like, you weren't like weird about like a topic or nothing. You always just, were straightforward. And I feel like just having that as a kid and just, knowing like it's like I should be comfortable talking about that with you. I feel like that really like made it easier to talk about things as I got older.
So let me ask you this, I hear you in terms of working on asking questions, right? Because I can tell you, and one of the things that I shared with parents in the Supermom Syndrome episode is that kids actually train us on how to respond to them. And so with you, I have learned, and I don't know if you've noticed this, that I actually have to ask you like 3 times before you actually start telling me something. Have you noticed that?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, but I just feel like that's part of childhood and just being a kid. Like it's not always just gonna come, naturally. Your parents might have to, like kind of nudge them about it and like get on them about it a little bit, but just don't do it too much to the point where it's like, like okay, I don't want to talk about this no more. Like why are you like, talking about it so much?
Mhm.
But yeah, I just like lightly encouraging them to like tell you stuff and like just tell you how things are going is good. Cause
Yeah. So you said lightly, so not to
yeah, lightly.
on them like, "Tell me now. You must tell me now."
Cause then it's kind of like just a chore at that point. I feel like if your parents are too like on you about all type of stuff, so it's like a chore to explain stuff when it shouldn't be.
Right, right. So then let me ask you this in terms of what comes up with I think probably most kids and their parents. There are definitely always parts that are hard, right? In terms of the relationship. So what would you say has been the hardest for you with our relationship? Or even the hardest conversation maybe that we've had? So either hardest for you in terms of our relationship or hardest conversation that we've had.
Yeah, it's definitely like back in 2020 with like COVID and stuff, and just all that going around. I was kind of sad during that time. And I just feel like there's probably a couple conversations like in like that quarantine like era
Mm.
where like they had to happen. They were good conversations. Like I'm happy they happened, but they were definitely like some hard conversations.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of parents had hard conversations with their kids at that time. So let me ask you another question. What are some of the things that I've done or said that help you build trust with me so that you can tell me things?
I feel like it's not anything like specific you say,
Mhm.
but I feel like it's just the approach you come like while talking about something like back to like the relationship. Like you don't you're not too like aggressive or too like just yeah basically just too aggressive when asking questions, and you kind of just like um yeah you just like lightly approach whatever topic it is. um and I just feel like if you have like a light open approach that makes your kid comfortable with whatever the topic might be, then I feel like that's just really gonna make them uh like open and more comfortable around you and like talking and like those hard conversations.
Got it. Okay. Understood. And so I'm curious in terms of can you share with parents the whole dynamic about boyfriend, girlfriend, person that you like kind of talk us through how would you suggest parents deal with that with their kids?
Mhm.
'Cause, a lot of parents and I told you how I grew up. It was like, "No, you can't have a boyfriend. You better not like a boy, you better not look at a boy," right?
Mhm.
And that's not how I established that part of our relationship and knowing, okay, he's gonna like girls. So what would you suggest to parents who are dealing with that or struggling with that?
Yeah, I wanna put it out there that like I feel like as your kids are growing up, your kids are getting older, like whatever age you may want to start talking about, the topic. I feel like it's important to just so I feel like parents should allow, kids, I say like, above like probably middle school, to, have like a little boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. But I feel like the main part is really just making sure they understand boundaries and understand like what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Because if all you tell your kid is, "Oh yeah, you can have a boyfriend, you can have a girlfriend, whatever," then I mean they might just like they might just try to do what they see on the internet because you haven't established like boundaries or whatever it may be. So I just feel like as long as you teach your kid right from wrong when it comes to, boys, girls, whatever, then I feel like your kid having a girlfriend or boyfriend isn't that big of a deal. You should just
Mm.
let it happen. Because I feel like it's going to happen eventually, whether you know about it or like it or not. So I feel like you might as well just have your kid be open and just, have them be aware.
Yeah, and you know that that's hard for parents though, right?
Yeah.
What do kids need to do? Like, what can parents communicate to their kids? Like, okay, this is what I need to see from you in order to trust you, to know that you are going to be responsible and have boundaries, and that I know I can trust you when you're not around me. What do kids need to do to show their parent?
I feel like just, doing little other things that your parents, want you to do, like chores, do them on time, go to bed on time, like do like whatever it is your parent asks you. And just, kind of build that trust up over time. So when it gets to situations like that, then, your parent can actually trust you. Cause I feel like, um, if you're constantly getting into trouble, you're not, doing stuff you're supposed to do, you're not getting stuff done on time, then okay, you're gonna have like, less things, less privileges because you're not showing me that you can be trusted.
So I wanted to know if you remember the $100 bill story or situation that I did with you. Do you remember that?
I do vividly.
Okay, so you said vividly. So can you actually share with the audience what happened and what was the point of it?
I just remember, I think it was what, like start of sixth grade
Yeah.
ish. Yeah.
Mhm.
Around start of sixth grade, you came in my room and you just had a conversation with me. And it was about like, it was just about, self confidence and treating or not self confidence, what's the word?
Yeah, self-worth, self-confidence.
Yeah, self worth. Just so you basically just came in my room and you wanted to teach me a lesson about, self worth. Um, so you had like I don't remember like all the details, but I remember you had a $1 bill. And then you had ripped it, and, I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" Because like $1 bill, like, okay, like, you go get another $1 bill. But, and then you took $100 bill, and then you tried to rip that one, but it didn't, like, rip, but you, like, tried to rip it because I guess, it's harder to rip. But, you tried to rip the 100, and it didn't rip. But then my face like, "Yo, what are you doing? Are you about to rip this $100 bill?" Um and then, yeah, and then you had just kinda explained to me that, like, it shouldn't matter if it's $1 or $100 or however much it is, like, you're worth more than that. So, like, yeah, it shouldn't matter if I rip $1 bill, $100 bill, you're more than all of those, so it just, shouldn't matter.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and the lesson definitely was about self-worth, right? And
Mhm.
you treat things that you think are worth more, you treat it in higher regard, and that you should always treat yourself in higher regard. Because I knew going into middle school, you would have situations either with friends or people that you like that would try to mistreat you because that's just the nature of being a kid, right? And but we have to stay strong. So I'm curious in terms of so that message was about self-worth. So have you had moments in your life in dealing with either people or friends or semi-friends or girls, anybody that you needed to remind yourself of your worth?
Um, I just feel like, my past relationship, I feel like there were some times where, she did something that I maybe should have said something about or, that I wouldn't have done back out of respect for her. Um, yeah, so I just feel like there are probably a couple times in our relationship where I could have said something, did something about something, or, not like show like, hey, I don't like that's not what I'm going for. Like, don't do that again. Um, but yeah, just like a couple times like those, like throughout the relationship, I feel like I could have done better at recognizing.
And what made you realize that now? Because also the listeners know that I had shared that you had that relationship ended and then you all got back together and now it ended again. So this second time around, what would you say have been some revelations for you?
Can I get the definition of revelations, please?
Yes, you can, Alex, for 500. So revelation is you realize it now, but you didn't realize it before.
I just feel like I'm still continuing to grow and mature, and like as I do that, I notice more things like in the relationship, like while I was younger. that that just shouldn't have been like that's not like acceptable, you know. So I just feel like, as I grow and mature, just things start to look different and my perception of things change as time goes on.
Hmm. And so, in what ways would you say that I helped or didn't help you with that particular situation?
I feel like you help because um you kind of like confirm some like thoughts I had in my head of like, oh yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, cause it's kind of different from like a guy's perspective and a girl's perspective.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like you just confirm things from like the girl perspective of like, yeah, that's not okay. Like, I don't know like why if she would do that. Like, that's not okay. That's not something that should be happening. And I feel like, just emotionally just being there for me, when, like the original first time, because that time was the worst time. But yeah, just being there for me emotionally and yeah, just supporting me through the way, not like judge me or making me feel uncomfortable or sad or whatever, just being there for me, supporting me, and just yeah, just giving me some good ideas and information.
Okay. So that is the conclusion of part one. And just curious if there's anything, just about anything at all, that you would like to add or say to the parents out there, maybe on behalf of all kids in the world. What is there anything you would want to tell them?
Mm. Well, I just want to give an example, like going back to my one of my points earlier when I
Mhm.
was like kids, kids are gonna have boyfriends and girlfriends, like without their parents knowing, So I
Mhm.
just had a quick question, real quick. So Nina never let you date, huh?
Not at all.
Oh, so
And for the
then,
audience, Nina is my mother, his grandmother. Not at
oh,
all. No.
like never, like what
Well,
until like
yeah,
what
when I got
18?
to college.
Oh, oh, okay. So then, when's the first time you had a boyfriend, ma?
Oh, wow. That's what we're doing?
Yeah, just curious, like see if what I said goes under the old kids,
Okay. So, given the fact that your grandmother, my mother, never let me have a boyfriend, you want to know when was my first boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you listen to your mom.
Didn't know we were doing that. So I would say my first boyfriend was fifth grade.
Goodness gracious.
What? Yes.
Fifth grade, you was like 10.
Okay.
Mm,
You asked, and I told you, yeah,
I did.
yes,
Mm,
yes. But at that time, boyfriend girlfriend just meant, it's Valentine's. The boy give you candy, so that means y'all boyfriend girlfriend. But
I mean, did he
y'all
ask you?
understand. No, oh
Oh,
no, it's just
oh,
whatever boy gave you candy. Now it's just kind of understood that the boyfriend, that's the girlfriend, because he gave her candy. Yeah, there was no
wow.
asking. Oh.
So when's the first time you got asked to be somebody's girlfriend?
The first time I actually got asked, I would say was probably 7th grade. Yeah,
Dang,
7th grade.
that's crazy.
Well, well, why is that crazy?
Cause in college, like 18, 19.
Well, yeah, and that's when my mother, your grandmother, felt was the appropriate time was in college. But clearly, to the point you made earlier, kids
Hmm.
are gonna do what kids are gonna do. So
Yeah,
you can either be in denial about it, or you can just kind of talk them through it and make sure that they're being responsible.
yeah.
Hmm.
I got another question.
Okay, son.
Sorry,
Go
sorry, my bad.
ahead.
Do you feel like you and Nina would have been closer if she had even like half the conversations you had with me, yeah, you had with me.
I do. I think we would have definitely been closer. I also know that there were various circumstances going on for her that I didn't have that kind of prevented us from being that close. Like she was working and in school during those primary years of childhood. So it was like she would be in school during the day, going to USC, and then at night, I remember she worked at IHOP because she would come home smelling like pancakes. So by the time she got home, I was in bed, right? Because she taught me when she was younger. And I was here in this world when she was still in college. And yeah, I just didn't see her very much because she was working and going to school. So it didn't really create opportunities for us to talk like how I have with you and being able to be around. Even though I'm still very tired, I still try to make a point to talk to you every day about your day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, son. And now I'll probably have to get some looks from your grandmother.
Yeah.
But it's all good because again, it's all about helping the people out there have better relationships with their kids. So we will have part 2 in a couple of weeks. So thank you, son. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for listening to Talk to Connect. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to follow or subscribe to my podcast and share it with others. A new episode will drop every other Tuesday. And if you have a question you'd like me to answer on a future episode, email me at michelle@letstalktoconnect.com. That's Michelle, spelled Michell. That's 2 L's, no E on the end, at letstalktoconnect.com. So let's continue talking to connect and create transformation in our personal and professional relationships.